Today I'm going to show you the medieval city center of this city. Transport of grains in the Middle Ages. And this is why, here in Ghent we had to pay a very important tax, important port here in the city. It's in between those two bridges behind and in front of us. And here the grains would be entered, and the grains could be stored in this building here on our left side. Donc ici à notre gauche on a l'entrepôt des grains. Les grains pouvaient être gardés là pour 2 semaines. So the grains could be stored there for 2 weeks before being sold to the local bakers and brewers. The tiny house next to that was the tax house. There the taxes could be paid on the grains. Donc la toute petite maison à côté, la maison des taxes, on payait les impôts sur les grains. Here next to us we see also a very beautiful building. This is the guild house of the free shippers. So they were people from the city, and they were the only one who had the right to sail inside the city center. This building was built in the year 1531. And then, next to this we see another quite beautiful building. This is the old post office. The post office, this one was built in another time, actually in the beginning of the 20th century by the architect Louis Cloquet, who built this building together with the bridge here and the building on the corner for the World Exposition of 1913. Donc le bâtiment ici avec la tour horloge, c'était l'ancien hôtel des postes construit par l'architecte Louis Cloquet dans le début du XXe siècle. Now this brings us here to the tree tower. So if we all have a look on our left side, we see a bit of the city skyline of Ghent. You could recognize this city from over 30 kilometers away of the city. And this is because of the tree tower. The first one is the St. Nicholas Church, then the Belfort, and the last one is the St. Bav's Cathedral. The Belfort was not a religious tower, but was a watchtower to look out for enemies attacking the city, also for fires. And then the last one, the St. Bav's Cathedral, where we can see a very important painting, very famous painting known as the Ghent altarpiece, or also the Admiration of the Mystical Lamb, which is without a doubt the most entier. Cette peinture a été volée plus de 6 fois dans son histoire par des empereurs comme Charles Quint, Napoléon, les nazis, les Allemands et encore des autres. So I was saying this painting is seen as one of the most valuable paintings ever created, and was also the painting that was stolen the most over its history. This painting was stolen by emperors like Charles V of Spain stole it, brought it back to Spain, then Napoleon stole it again, and the Germans twice in the first and the second. This was a very dark time here in Europe, because the north of Europe was being terrorized by the Catholic Church. In that time, it was also the time of the Inquisition and the witch hunt. And now there is a few examples I can show you of how unbearable life was here. First of all, the Catholic Church had declared that to have basic rights, you needed to be a clergy or own land, which obviously more than 90% of the people here in the city, they didn't own land. Of course, it was only the rich people. Second of all, it was an extremely patriarchal society, which meant that women had very less to say. And in fact, from the Catholic Church until the middle of the 20th century, when you would be married here under the Catholic Church, the husband owned his wife. This was written in our marriage contracts, and even until the beginning of the 20th century. So if you have grandparents here and who married before the Second World War, you can read in their marriage contract that it is a transaction, which meant that the husband owns his wife, and his wife needed to to do whatever his husband, as he had to be obedient to his husband. This was written in the marriage contract, and well, the husband had to make sure that he could provide food and a place to sleep.